Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from in the world. Welcome to Open Up, our live talk show on this Sunday, July 3rd. My name is RJ Horner, and I'm the host of Open Up and also a volunteer with Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 is a not for profit organization founded in 2020 and based in Toronto, Canada. We were Voice of Men 360 was born out of a tremendous need in helping to step up and provide services for our men and boys to overcome their life challenges. We're part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving for over 21 years so far and is now represented in 90 countries around the world who join together to do various activities regularly. International Men's Day follows 6 pillars, which represent the overall well being of men and boys, and we follow in those same footsteps here. So why is open up so important? Because men are not willing to open up our hearts and share our matters with people. And when we do this, we create challenges within ourselves, emotional struggles and physical ailments, which we want to eliminate or alleviate here. That's why we invite people to share their life journey with you in the effort of helping improve the lives of others. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups in sharing your life journey. All walks of life are invited to participate. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring out individuals to share their life journey with you. Today, our guest is Antoine Thompson. Antoine is a or Coach T, as he's known, is the founder and executive director of JLT Fieldhouse, a not for profit youth coaching and mentoring organization dedicated to coaching and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow. This organization, named in honor of his late father, Sergeant Major Joe Louis Thompson, United States Marine Corps, adopted Antoine and his older brother after their mom and Joe were married. The lessons learned from his father were what inspires him to continue by passing on these lessons to the next generation of leaders. He's also the owner of Coach T Corner, an online mentoring academy designed to educate, support, and inspire our future leaders of tomorrow and to better prepare them to take ownership of the tools for a prosperous future. Antoine Thompson, welcome to Open Up, and thank you for being willing to share your life journey with us today.
Well, thank you, RJ. I really appreciate you having me, and I'm very honored to be here.
Wonderful. Again, thank you for taking time up again on this Sunday morning. So let's get to know you. We've given a bit of information in the bio, but really, let us know what makes Antoine this person who wants to go out and lead others.
RJ, that is an amazing question. You know, we all go through our lives trying to define ourselves and find out what our mission is and what is our purpose in our lives. And for me, it goes back to what you mentioned in my bio about my father. Um, the life-changing experiences I had when he came into my life is what drives, inspires me, and motivates me to do what I'm doing today. And it was one message that he shared, and that was, you know, we have the opportunity to give back. You do it without question and without hesitation, without any expectation of reward. And I've always had this innate ability to connect with young people of all ages, boys and girls. And that ability to connect with them made me realize that I had a special gift that I needed to share, and it has truly engulfed my entire being. And what I do now, it's not work to me. It truly is my life's passion.
That's awesome. If you would, you say this changed your life when your stepfather came into your life and became the influential person that you would aspire to be. Um, what age was that, and then what was that like?
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, RJ, I'll just correct you on one. I never have ever acknowledged Joe Louis Thompson as my stepfather. He was my father
Mm,
because my biological father was absent as a father and as a husband to my mom. And my earliest recollection of him is a story that I actually love telling. It was the first time I saw my biological father after my dad and my mom had gotten together, and he had come to a family gathering, and me not really knowing who he was, he called out to my brother not to come to him when he came to this event. And the first thing I did was run behind Joe Louis Thompson's leg, grabbed it, and looked around at like, who is this guy? That's when I knew that I had found my protector and the man that was going to provide me the leadership, guidance, and direction I need to be the man that I am today. And that truly laid a foundation for me as an individual and as a leader and as a coach and as a mentor.
Mm. So you found somebody who was truly inspirational then. Sounds like from a young age. Describe maybe what that was like, knowing, like, how did you know that this was someone to aspire to?
Yeah. Well, number one, RJ, one of the reasons I knew that was being so young, being obviously very impressionable, not knowing, truly where your life was going to go. When I look back and knowing what I was in and what my relationship my mother was in, Joe laid a foundation of teaching us to be who we wanted to be and allowing us to make the mistakes that we needed to make to learn from those mistakes. And growing up in a military family, we lived in a lot of different places and we watched a lot of our friends be raised differently. So it made us appreciate the type of father that we had. He was a sergeant major in the Marine Corps, a fearless, uh, rank in the military, and probably one of the most feared ranks, sergeant major. But no one ever knew that's what he was if you came to our house and watched him interact as a father. And that is what separated him from so many other people. And the lessons that we learned there was, your job does not define who you are. You have to be the person that you want to be. And those are lessons that he taught us through just the everyday interactions. We're all into sports and athletics, so he allowed us to make those mistakes growing up. And another quick story, just give an example of when I was playing Pop Warner football, having a game and I'm not having a very good game. I always beat myself up, and we're sitting off at halftime by the fence, and our coaches have finished talking with us. And my dad walks by the fence, and he just kind of leans over and he goes, "Son, this is a sport. Just relax and have fun. This is not the NFL. There's no championships online. Nobody's going to be signing any multi-million dollar contracts. Just go out and have fun and enjoy yourself." And it truly lifted this huge burden off my shoulders just hearing him say that, but not just him saying it, but how he said it. Said in a very caring way because he wanted me to enjoy the experience that was right in front of me. And that's just a small example of the type of man he was and what he taught my brothers and I.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, you would think a sergeant major in the military, especially the Marine Corps, as we know it to be, is very stringent, very strict on their regiment, and you know what I mean, follow the rules or else. Um, so it seems contradictory that they would go out there and say, "Oh, it's only a game, just have fun. It's not life or death type thing." Where I mean, that's what he's teaching, right? He's teaching people how to survive life or death. So do you know how he was able, and I'm asking you to speak for him, I guess, at this point, but do you know how he was able to separate the two? How was he able to keep family functional from business serious? This is what we have to do and we're going to get it done.
Well, not knowing, obviously being in his shoes growing up, but you think about how all of us are raised. It's about what values and morals are instilled in us as young people. And I believe that, that's how his family, his mom, his dad, my grandparents taught him to be. And the fact that he enlisted in the Marine Corps right out of high school, spent 30 years in the Marine Corps, he made a decision early on to serve. And that's the key word to me, is that he chose to serve. And when you choose to serve, you understand that comes with a lot of different responsibilities that you have. And that afforded you the opportunity to understand the difference between your job and your life. And I think he understood that very, very well. And having spent 2 tours of Vietnam, trust me, a lot of people know he saw the worst of the worst. And he probably, in knowing that, hey, you know what, I don't want that at home. So when I'm home, that's got to be a totally different life because I don't want my children to have to endure some of the things that I've had to endure. And those are things that conversations he never had with us directly, but he didn't have to because we understood the magnitude of that experience.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Because again, we want to know that it's possible to separate life and career, like leadership. So thank you for expressing how he's able to, and you know what, it's one thing to and I guess maybe it's his attitude of this is what I fought for. This is why I do it. So my family is comfortable and protected. And thank you for that. So we're able to see that because that's something that you wouldn't expect of our military personnel, right? So
Right. Yes,
um,
most definitely.
absolutely. So it sounds like you eventually decided you were going to serve, and we all serve in different ways. So tell me about this service, this platform that you have created.
Right. Well, this whole platform is kind of surreal in a way, RJ, because me getting into coaching started with me getting cut from the high school team every year. And first lesson learned, just because you love something and you don't get to participate in it doesn't mean you have to lose your love for it. Once you love something or you're passionate about it, it stays with you. And sometimes you don't know why right away, but later on down the road you figure it out. But by me getting cut from the basketball team every year, it allowed me the opportunity to reflect and figure out, hey, well, I can't play the game, so how else can I be involved in the game? And I had the opportunity years later to start coaching an association league of 10 and 11-year-old boys. And I basically got the leftovers from a team and connected with them in such a way that I knew that I had found my calling. And years later, 37 years later, I'm still coaching basketball, still mentoring young people. But in 1996, when my father passed away from leukemia, it really hit me hard, and I wanted to honor him and his legacy. But I took a long time trying to figure out, how do I do that? How do I do that? And I thought about all the life lessons they taught us about giving back when you can, and knowing that he stepped in and provided my brothers and I, an opportunity to forge our own futures. I said, well, let me step in and do the same thing for the next generation of leaders. So I started JLT Fieldhouse. And what other better way to do that than to honor him by naming the organization after him? And the reason that that's so important to me is because every day that I wake up and I go and work in this nonprofit, I'm wearing his name on my chest every day. And it reminds me of why I'm doing it. And the purpose of JLT Fieldhouse was to provide a platform and utilize basketball as a vehicle to connect with kids through the sport of basketball. But as many of us know, what happens in sports carries over to real life. And so it's opportunity to teach life skills of how to communicate and how to work through conflicts with teammates, or just the competitive nature of sports, and also about working towards goals, a common goal. In order to reach a common goal, you have to work together with people, and how to be resilient. And that started the whole process of JLT Fieldhouse. And pre-COVID, we had almost 200 kids in our year-round program, and it's something I'm very proud of. And it was boys and girls ranging from first grade all the way through to 12th grade.
And so so you say post or pre-COVID, you had 200 people. Are you still operational? What's your clientele like now?
We just started getting back several months ago, and we're just doing now just the private lessons. We used to do private lessons, group clinics, and we're currently doing our summer camps, a modified summer camp. We have a summer league, our second summer of our summer league, and that's going very well. And then the private lessons are picking up significantly. And when the pandemic shut down JLT Fieldhouse, it afforded me the opportunity to reflect on how to take the mentoring aspect of JLT Fieldhouse to the next level. And that is what formulated Coach T's Corner, and allowed me to focus more on just a mentoring personal growth and development skills in preteens and teens without the athletic components.
Oh, that's amazing. But so whereabouts are you located? Where are you teaching this? Oh, I know this can work in
I
any environment, but I want to know what your environment's like.
Right. JLT Fieldhouse operates out of Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm a coach at Salisbury Academy, as a private school. I've been coaching there for 10 years, and we run all of our JLT Fieldhouse activities out of that gym. And Coach T's Corner obviously is virtual and one-on-one with me virtually or via telephone, but not in person as of yet. But we're hoping that that's going to be coming down the road.
Absolutely wonderful. So again, so this organization, or at least the basketball, like the coaching, the training, that could be implemented in any environment, right? It's not something that's particular to your needs or to your location.
That's absolutely right, RJ. And if I could, I think one aspect of it that's really important to share is when we talk about the development of young people. When I was mentioning our summer league, the key element there, when we talk about coaching and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow, all of the coaches in our summer league are high school as student athletes that are participants of JLT Fieldhouse, and I'm the only adult that is in the summer league. So it affords these high school students the opportunity to develop their leadership skills by coaching the younger kids in the organization. and they absolutely relish it. And I have more of those kids request to be a part of the summer league than I actually need. So they truly enjoy the opportunity of having a positive impact on that next generation of kids behind them. And this is a perfect example of when you allow young people the opportunity to be leaders and they get the opportunity to develop their own leadership style. You get to oversee that, guide them as needed, but truly step back and watch them relish in that role. And for me, it is truly is a blessing.
Absolutely, because I mean, you're not telling them what to do. You're given the opportunity to step up and find solutions for themselves. I love it. Thank you for that, because again, that framework is something that could be utilized, and maybe some people out there realize that, you know what, I'd love to help. I'd love to find a way to give back. I just haven't figured out, like yourself. You know what I mean? You wanted to honor your father. There's probably some men out there who are thinking of the exact same thing. I need to honor, what I was taught, and my values, and spread them to the younger generation. So here's a way they can do that. They can give back and allow the youth to feel valued at the same time. So what an
Yeah.
opportunity, and what I love what you've created. Thank you.
No, I appreciate that, RJ. And to me, it's I share it sometimes, and I'm actually my brother always tells me, he goes, you do so much great stuff. Sometimes you got to stop and look behind you to see how far you've come. And sometimes I'm so caught up in what I do that I don't realize how much it has grown. And the example I just gave you about the high school kids, it to me it's not like a this aha moment. It's what I had planned to be. But then sometimes when you step back and look at it, you're like, wow, this is truly a great accomplishment. And to your point, I would love to share with anybody that would like to start something like that. I'm happy to share with them how it's done. And I do have three principles that I've coached by, and it's led to how JLT Fieldhouse is run and how Coach T's Corner was established. And it's focused on an acronym which is called the C of Success. And C is an acronym, SEA, which stands for the simplicity, effort, and attitude of success. And when those three components are applied to the aforementioned soft skill areas like communication and goal setting and responsibility, kids innately will be successful regardless of how long it may take, as long as they stay the course.
I know you're a basketballer, so have you heard of Coach John Wooden?
Of course.
Of course, John Wooden, UCLA, one of the most winningest basketball coaches of all time. But it's because he has said, it's not because I teach basketball. It's because I teach the principles of life. He teaches these pillars of success that he calls them, and most people who have ever been influenced by him. I mean, not just inside basketball, because he's infamous outside of the world of basketball as well. But again, his values or the principles of success are what taught people. Here's a basketball that you're playing as a team, but here's some of the values that if you put these into practice here, you're going to take them out there and carry them with you onto life, and have success there. So I think you're doing much the same thing here, right? Tell me some of the influences or maybe the challenges that young boys in your organization have had to go through, that you've been able to walk them through it.
Oh, absolutely, Archie. Thank you for that. I've always looked forward to opportunities to share some of the challenges that young boys and girls have, and more importantly, how they've overcome those. There are some kids in our organization that are come from single family homes. No father figures around. Then there's those that are just have they're going back and forth between mom and dad. So there's some uh, attachment issues, and there's some trust issues that go there. And then we have kids that truly feel ostracized by their peers. And a lot of this all stems from, or my ability to connect with them is focused on two things. And it's the two most important things for me before I work with any kids as far as helping them overcome things. Number one is I listen, and I do that without judging. That's the second part. It's not to judge them. And when I do that, I'm able to connect with them in a way that they realize, hey, Coach T really is here to help me. He's not trying to tell me what to do, how to do it, or why to do it. And over that time, when they drop those walls and I'm able to reach them, then I'm able to help them. And one of the examples I can give is a young man that started in the program about 5 years ago, and he truly felt isolated, and in using words that he would use alone. And over that 4 year period, was able to get him to open up. And his mom shared with me via text that he had woken up one day and said he no longer felt alone, that he truly now felt and identified with another word, and that word was relentless. And why that word is so important was that was the word I was using to describe him during this transformation, because his personality, his attitude had just changed, and he had just adopted this mantra of relentlessness. So that's just a great example of how you can get through to kids and help them train them and believe in themselves, and know there's somebody out there besides their family that cares about their success and their future. And this young man, by the way, still is a part of JLT Fieldhouse, comes back and volunteers, and he no longer plays competitively. He's a junior in high school, but he still volunteers his time when he's free. And that's important, because after you learn something, you realize that, somebody's put a lot of time, effort, and energy in helping me grow. I want to do the same thing. And that's the other underlying message that I'm trying to give too, is that once young people learn something, I want to teach them to give it back as well.
Absolutely. I think that's why we're doing anything, right? When we pass on that wisdom, when we share the knowledge, we're doing that with the intention that I'm sharing this for you, but really it's to help you spread this out and create this momentum for this mission or this vision that we're working on.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. And if you'll allow me, I'm happy to share another story, something that's probably not to that extreme, but it's just as important. And I think it holds true to every child has a different scenario, and each one has a different need, and how you approach that need is different. I had another young man that would come for private lessons every week. And this one particular Saturday, he came in for his lesson, and it was kind of odd. He just was talking a lot. So I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. I'm enjoying this. Just he and I just having conversations while we're kind of going through drills or whatever. When he gets home, apparently he has a conversation with his mom, because she texted me later. She goes, "What did you do in your lesson?" Because he said it was his best lesson he's ever had. And I'm like, I didn't teach him anything. We just had a conversation. But what it turns out was that's all he needed that particular day, was just somebody to have a conversation with him. And makes you think that maybe he hadn't had just a general conversation without any expectations or people trying to read between the lines of everything that he said. And to me, it helps me become a better coach. I realize that every child has a different need, and sometimes you just have to sit back, listen, and they will tell you everything that you need to know.
Absolutely. That is one of the biggest issues that sometimes we treat them like children, right? And that puts them in a place of I need to be subservient. I need to listen. I need to do as I'm told. It doesn't put them in a position of um, taking charge, like being responsible for their own life and being responsible. I know, like I'm Uncle Robbie in my family, in my zone, right? I'm an influencer in my own right, and I've always treated my nieces and my nephews and my stepkids, of course, with that respect that they're a person, they're responsible for their own decisions. So that they can get it wrong, they can make the mistakes, they can learn, but always by talking to them as an individual first. And I think sometimes that's what people need out there, right? One of our callers or our watchers or commented that children issues often come from parent issues, right? Children disconnection. Um, but honestly, here's a way for us, whether they have quality parenting or not. Here's a way for us to be of influence and get those values out that you are a person, you are valued, you are somebody, and we just need somebody to believe in us. I think in that area, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that about the listener that made the comment. One of the things that I make sure that I do too, because I don't want to come across as though I'm trying to replace a parent when I'm guiding and providing the life skills for or direction for young people. A lot with just every child that comes in that I start to work with, I have a conversation with the parent and the child at the same time, and explain exactly what the expectations are. And then many times, the parents don't want the child there to learn and get better at basketball. They want them to become a better person.
Mm.
And through word of mouth, people know when they come see Coach T, they're going to leave there a better person. The basketball is second nature to me. It's just like, riding a bike. I know it like the back of my hand. But my goal is to help them become a better person. And I also share right up front with the kids in front of the parents. I said, your parents have made an investment in you to be become a better player. That's why they have you here. So make no mistake about it. You're going to become a better player and a better person. And there are expectations that I have. So I lay out my expectations in front of the child and the parent. So that's the way of letting the parent know, hey, he's got my back. He's going to help me maybe in an area that I don't know. But I'm also sending a message to the parent. Hey, if there's something that your child may need or may not need, let me know. And there have been times where parents have reached back out to me privately and asked if I would focus on one aspect with their child. And it does not have to do with anything related to basketball skills or development.
Absolutely. I think basketball, like you said, it's a vehicle, it's an avenue for people to learn these habits, learn these skills, but also evolve. Learn team playing, that sort of thing. But yes, if you have the right person, and I think you are that right person for this group, you're teaching them so much more than just a sport, than just being active, and you're teaching them life values, I think.
Oh, most definitely. And you made some reference to, sports and parents. And I think the other part is the elephant in the room is, parents and their behavior during sporting events and how negatively it affects children. And one of the things that I share with the parents of the kids that I coach at school is I let them know up front when the child goes to play a sport, and this is any sport, not just basketball, when they go to compete, there are four people they're trying to please. Number one, it's their coach. Number two, it's their teammates. Number three, it's the parents. But more importantly, when everybody forgets about, they're trying to please themselves. And that is a lot of pressure for a child, any preteen or teen to take on because you're asking all these people, you're trying to satisfy all these people in an hour and a half, 2 hour event. That's a lot of emotional stress. And then not to mention the physical toll it takes on you from event to event. So that's one of the things I stress with parents is just enjoy your kids competing. Every sport does not require everybody to give their opinion. It is a sporting event. It's part of their growth and development as kids and how they compete. But more importantly is how you respond after that event. They don't need to be critiqued afterwards. Just say, hey, I appreciate watching you play hard and it was a lot of fun and leave it at that.
Oh wow, absolutely. I remember my first role, or for my first lesson as a parent, because again, I'm a stepfather, not a father. But I mean, these are my kids. I've been with them most of their lives at this point. But I remember my son was I think 7 when we got together, and he was in soccer, and I was maybe a little too critical, and I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Um, I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought I was cheering for him, right? But when he's diving and hitting the floor all the time, and now the play's halfway up the field, so I was trying to encourage him to be with the play stuff, but I had to learn that I was actually, like you say, doing him a disservice by bringing him down a level instead of just encouraging, just watching, just being with him during that sporting event. So I had to learn that lesson, and that was actually my first lesson as a parent.
It really is hard, and I told you, and I've had parents that have thanked me for I didn't realize it until you explained it in the way you explained it. I'm like, no, that's kind of what I do. And one of the things I failed to mention, RJ, in the beginning of all this, and I think it's important to share because some people are like, well, how do you know everything? My wife and I weren't blessed enough to have children of our own, but I also saw that as a blessing, as an opportunity to serve more kids than I possibly could
Mhm.
have otherwise. But I also remember, I say that also to let people know just because I don't have kids does not mean I don't understand. It's truly different. You're with them a lot more than I am, but you know as well as I do, kids share more sometimes with people outside the house than they do inside, and it's all based on trust and their ability to be supported consistently, not just when things are going well, but when they're not going well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So I do have a couple more questions for you. You've been a great guest so far. I just want to get a couple of announcements out of the way, and I'll come back with a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
So, Voice of Men 360 is having their annual picnic. This will take place Saturday, July 24th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. In London, Ontario. Excuse me, at Springbank Park, Area J, London, Ontario. So please come out and join us for that. We'll have games for kids and adults, some free food. Everyone is welcome. Again, please join us, Springbank Park, Area J in London, on Sunday, July 4th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a few live shows, the first of which you just participated here in is called Open Up, which takes place Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, um, and where we bring out people to share their life journey with you. Um, then we have the same thing in Tamil language. That show is called Vili, which means I, and that takes place Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We host a monthly webinar the first Saturday of every month, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring out the expertise of organizations to discuss a topic of interest to them, but of also of particular interest to our community. We host a special show called The Unspoken Tears the second Saturday of every month, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The focus is domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, traumas, porn addiction, and human trafficking. These are serious topics, and we discuss them here in Voice of Men 360. We also host the Authors Circle, where we bring out authors who are contributing to the well-being of men and boys through writing articles, media, magazines, um, and recognizing them and appreciating their efforts. So the third Saturday of every month from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, join us for Authors Circle. And then we turn all of our content into podcast episodes. So please look out for us on your favorite platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and more. We host monthly men's groups. The first one is for men only for men, by men, to be attended by men. There is no recording of this session. It's an intimate group session where men are allowed to open up and share their journey. This is every 2 weeks on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Please join us for the next one on July 12th. Please register through Zoom. Visit our Facebook group and page for more. Then we host an Indigenous peer-to-peer support group. This one we call Pass the Talking Stick, which takes place the fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Please register through Zoom. Again, there are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life are invited to participate in our programming. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows or willing to be a part of our organization and help us, whether directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We'd love to work with individuals, professionals, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and more. You can reach us at our phone number, 437-889-8329. Email us info@voiceofmen360.org, which makes our website, www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, Google Play, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more on our YouTube channel, and visit our Facebook group, www.facebook.com/groups/voiceofmen360. We want to reach out to help more people. Please continue your generous support. Thank you for joining us and being with us, and continuing in our journey here in Voice of Men 360. So once again, we're talking to Antoine Thomas, and he's had some amazing value on how to just be there for our youth and how to raise quality youth, whether you have influence as a parent or not. There are many of us in society who have influence over our young adults. So that is a tremendous responsibility, and Antoine has shared that responsibility. So Antoine, I have a couple of questions before we leave. How can our young men and boys, what can they do to empower their life journey?
Well, Jay, thank you for that question. It's a great question. And if I can, this is a great segue. You were mentioning in your moments ago with your advertisement about things that can help young people. About a month ago, I released my first book. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Success for Preteens and Teens. And it outlines 10 different soft skill areas that aren't readily taught in school. And these are things that can help young men with their personal growth and development and relationship development. And it covers the 10 areas that really are, I think, are the most important are goal setting, relationships, influence, personal responsibility, time management, leadership, accountability, character building, communication, conflict resolution, and confidence. And these soft skill areas are broken down into what I mentioned before, my C of success, simplicity, effort, and attitude. 3 simple steps in 10 different soft skill areas applied on a daily basis makes it habit, Doesn't make it perfect, but makes it permanent. What makes permanent success is consistency. And to me, that's the key to success for young people, young men and women.
Without a doubt. And those are some values that we want people to learn those as early as possible, right? But you can learn them at any age, even if you're in adulthood. There's still lessons to learn. Those are some of the soft skills that you mentioned that really can help you move forward quicker, or achieve that success that we're looking for.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the other part that's really important too is surrounding yourself with like-minded people and not to be influenced by outside negative influences. One of the hardest things for young people. And because of technology, it is so easy to influence them negatively. But I think it's also important to make sure they understand the importance of in-person communication. We've gotten so far away from that. I realize that technology has taken us in a different road, but you know as well as I do, our upbringing, one of the best things that made us who we are is being able to look people in the eye, have communication with them, see physical reaction to everything you say, as opposed to reading words on a phone or a tablet or a computer and not knowing what that reaction is. It's part of personal growth and part of growing up as a young person.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Thank you very much. Those are values that we can certainly move forward with it and help our youth to grow. So then, what can we do as a society to help them along on that journey?
Whew. One of the first things we can do is stop talking about what's wrong with this next generation of leaders,
Mm.
about the entitlement and all this stuff. Let's be part of the solution. That's the first and only thing that I think we can do is start being a part of the solution and stop jumping on the negative bandwagon talking about what the kids aren't doing or what they're not capable of doing. Let's lay a groundwork and give them what they need to be successful. That's what adults can do, and be supportive, educate, support, and inspire the next generation of leaders.
Oh, thank you for that. Because again, yeah, we all put down our youth or our next generation, the millennials, as we have taglined them, and we've lumped them into a category, and that category seems to be that we don't expect much. We don't think they're going to achieve. The world's going to go to hell because they're leading. So you're right. It needs to stop. You know we need to stop putting them down and start picking them up, right? Start providing the pathway so that they can make it a little easier. Okay, so if they're expecting certain things, let's find out what they're expecting and maybe how we can make sure it happens for them, right?
They're telling us every day, RJ, kids listen with their eyes nowadays. They don't do it with their ears. So they're giving us everything that they need. We just haven't stopped long enough to listen. And I'm only speaking from experience and conversations I've had with kids, and that's what they hear. Nobody listens to us, and they hear us, but they don't listen to us, and they don't think that we have the ability and we're capable of doing it. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I realize that you're a very energetic and creative generation of young people, but you have to have a voice for yourselves. And that's one of the things I teach them too: is be strong, be positive, but let people know that you have a voice. And I think that's where they gain their space and their respect from not only their parents and educators, but also from their peers and future employers, if you will.
Mm. And I like the way you said that, because honestly, probably the reason we think our kids are so entitled and so expecting is because they're telling us. They're free with their communication, whereas our generation, look, kids are to be seen and not heard, right? So we were told
Right.
to sit in the background, do as you're told, behave yourself, and that's how to get along. But nowadays, kids are teaching us, look, here's what I want. Here's what you've told me I can have. Here's what I want. Here's how we can get it. But nobody wants to listen for that next step.
100% correct, my friend. 100% correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coach T, Antoine Thompson, you've been a great guest. Tell people how they can connect with you.
Well, the best way to connect with me is everything is Coach T's Corner. Instagram is actually Coach T's underscore corner. Facebook is Coach T's Corner. I also have a private Facebook group, which is called Developing Tomorrow's Leaders. I also have a podcast, Developing Tomorrow's Leaders, which I would love for all listeners to tune into. Have some great guests on for that. Also TikTok, Coach T's Corner. And I think in websites, CoachT'sCorner.com. And like I said, I would love for anyone that has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and definitely encourage you if you have a preteen or teen. And also, this book is also a resource for parents, The Ultimate Guide to Success for Preteens and Teens. And I think that everyone will be surprised by the information that's in it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You've been a tremendous guest and a great resource. So thank you for being a part of our show and being willing to share your life journey with us.
Well, thank you, RJ. I truly appreciate the opportunity. And Voice of Men 360 is a great organization and very honored to be a part of it.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone out there, for being a part of our show today and participating. Again, we want to make sure that there's value for everyone out there and that this program is creating a voice for men 360 around the world. So thank you for joining us today. I'm RJ Horner, your host and facilitator, asking you to open up.